In this video, I am going to be telling you 7 things that no one will tell you when you are getting started in video editing. Now stick around, let's figure this out. Hello guys, and welcome to this channel. On this channel, we take the big Hollywood ideas and we transpose them into smaller ideas so that you, the indie filmmaker out there, can implement in your works. Today on this channel, we are talking about 7 things that I wish I knew when I was just getting started in video editing. Let's get to it. But guys, if you're new to the channel, kindly click on the subscribe button and hit on the notification icon so that you get notified anytime we drop awesome content like this on this channel, because we talk about photography, videography, cinematography, and all its related branches. Now, make sure to watch this video till the end because I've saved the best tips for the last. Let's get right into the topic. The first thing I wish I knew about video editing is that not everything is fixable in post. Now, if you're someone who has been to a film set before, or you're someone who shoots movies, you get to set and mostly you hear this phrase, especially when they are just beginner filmmakers, what you hear most is, we'll fix it in post. We'll fix it in post. And you get to post and you realize that certain things are not fixable. Although in today's technology with VFX and a lot of stuff available, one might argue that, almost everything is doable. It just depends on budget. But yes, just know that saying that we'll fix it in post would come at a cost in terms of cash and in terms of time, and that can go a very long way of having negative impacts on your production. So just have it in mind that not everything is fixable in post. Some things are better done on set, and even when you can have something fixed in post, it's much recommended that you have the thing practically done on set, then you use what you have in post to complement it. And this cuts across all departments. You can't just go out post and start the whole thing from scratch. If you start it on set, it saves you time, it saves you energy, and at the end of the day, it makes the whole thing realistic. The second thing that I wish I knew about editing that no one will tell you is that editing is more of what you don't see rather than what you see. Great editing is actually when the editing is actually invincible, that the characters are actually lost, or let me say your audience are lost in watching the film so much that they even forget that editing has taken place. Meanwhile, a lot of efforts actually went into cutting that particular scene or putting it together. But at the end of the day, if you are able to get the audience to actually engage in the story, that means that you have actually achieved your aim and the edits are actually really good. And so it has to do more with cutting away the excesses than what the people get to see on screen. The third thing I wish I knew that no one would tell you is that there is a difference between editing and knowing how to use an editing software. Now, let me explain. Knowing how to edit means that you know how to cut on a beat, you know how to use L&J cuts, you know how to use your transitions, you know when to cut and when not to cut, and all those other nitty-gritties that goes into video editing. Now, knowing how to use the software could mean that I could know how to navigate through Adobe Premiere Pro, I could know how to use all the tools within Adobe Premiere Pro. Now, knowing this software will now aid me to be able to use this software to edit a video. But once you are getting started, the whole term editing or the word editing is used generally to cover these two. But the more you get advanced, the more you get to know that these are two separate things. Knowing how to use a nonlinear workflow doesn't necessarily make you a great editor, or doesn't really mean you are a very good editor. Now, someone could have a whole edit in his or her head, or could know how to go about an edit, but do not know how to use an editing software. Likewise, someone could have the editing software or knows how to navigate through an editing software, but when you give an actual footage to the person will not know that, okay, let me cut this part, let me start with a wide shot, let me start with a medium, or let me work my way through using this particular film strategy. Now, the lack of that means that the work wouldn't be complete. So you need those two sides of the coin. So first of all, you need to know how to use your chosen software, or the software that you're going to use to be doing your editing, or the one that you use to do your edits. At the same time, you need to know the rules of editing, which makes you a very great editor. And at the end of the day, editing is very subjective. There are no right or wrong ways. You just have to do what feels right. And what feels right comes from experiences that you've built over the years. And that leads us to patterns. Because you've done it for a very long time, you begin to trust your instincts. And when something is right, it feels right. And when it is not right or when it's wrong, it actually feels wrong. The fourth thing no one will tell you about video editing is that not every film is supposed to follow the traditional film rules. Now, when you are editing, the traditional film rules will tell you that you start from wide and you work your way into the shots. But it is not always that you have to edit your film this way, or it's not always that you have to edit your scenes using this particular analogy or using this particular techniques. Now, there are instances where you can start from close-ups or start from certain things or just cutaways within the scene and work your way out to the major thing that happens within the scene. We call it from ambiguity to the known. So for example, as you're seeing on your screen right now, instead of starting the scene from a wide shot, we started from something that the person is doing. And so when you see this first shot, you begin to ask yourself what is probably going on. And so it keeps your viewers very engaged. So instead of us starting the scene from the very wide shot, which the traditional film rule would tell us, we decided to break it by starting it with a close-up so that it keeps your audience very engaged. We are starting from ambiguity because your audience do not really know, because this is a close-up, they don't really know what is going on. Everyone is captivated and paying attention and just looking at how the whole thing is going to end. The fifth thing no one will tell you about video editing is that not every effect within the editing software is actually compatible with every footage. Now, I know manufacturers of nonlinear editing softwares like Adobe Premiere Pro, Sony Vegas, and all the available softwares, they will market it to you. For example, let's use Web Stabilizer for this particular illustration. Now, they will market to you as if you just drag this effect, throw it onto the clip, and voila, it's stabilized. But once you start to use it, or when you start to put this into practice, you'll get to realize that it doesn't work with every single shot, and there are limitations with this. So the best thing is that when you are marketed, or when an effect is marketed to you, put it to the practice before you actually rely on it for an actual shoot, or else, trust me, you are going to shoot something and come back and you are going to regret it. So just endeavor to take your time to study an effect very well before you actually put it to practical world use. Now, the sixth thing I always wish I knew from the beginning was that not every effect is actually created from scratch. Now, if you're an After Effects user or you use any 3D packaging software, you would understand the angle where I'm coming from. Now, when you're getting started, they preach to you that you really need to start everything from scratch. For example, in After Effects, that if you want to create fire, there's no shortcut. You just have to combine a lot of things to create fire. If you want to create a certain effect, you have to combine a lot of things. But how about if I tell you that even some of the greatest people you people idolize so much when it comes to VFX, how about if I tell you that most of the things they use are just presets, which are just drag and drop? For example, when you fire up After Effects and you go put a clip here and you go through the preset list and you just select any of these effects, drag it and put it on the footage, just look at the final effect on your screen. Now, when you see this, you start to wonder, how can I ever create this? And straight away your mind is blown away and you think a lot of things have been combined to form this, and so you start to eulogize certain individuals who made this. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying don't praise people, but at times we get so caught up in thinking that this person is a genius and I can do this, and at the end of the day you end up downplaying what you can do. But how about if I tell you that you out there, you watching me right now, you can also do it? Is this a matter of when you see an effect, take time, observe it very well. It's all a matter of the resources that were available or what was available to them that they were able to use judiciously to achieve that particular effect. Nothing is out of reach. Unless, of course, if it's large explosions and all that. But at the end of the day, there are still alternatives even with that. You can always take a big idea and implement it on a small scale or implement it on a smaller level. Now, the final thing I wish I knew about video editing that no one would tell you is that you can save your computer or increase the lifespan of your editing computer by editing from external sources. Now, what do I mean by this, or how does this whole analogy works? Now, in your drive C or your main hard drive where your computer runs from, Adobe Premiere Pro also runs from this same hardware, which is your main hard drive. So what happens is that you are sharing this same hard drive with the video processing within the same software. So when you look at the whole cross-section of the small disk within your hard drive, so what happens is that the read writer head continuously has to pick the video information, at the same time have to pick information about the software Adobe Premiere Pro running within the same hard drive. So the hard drive has to work very hard to make sure that you are able to get your video playbacks. At the same time, the software is also stable. And now this is also what leads to a lot of software crashes. If you're someone who uses Premiere Pro a lot, you know that crashes are very common when it comes to the usage of Premiere Pro or even After Effects. So what no one is telling you is that the best way to save your hard drive from all this trouble and working hard, and that will in turn increase the lifespan of your computer, is by finding another hard drive, either an external hard hard drive or installing another drive D or another external source within your computer where you can edit your footage from. So that way your default drive C or your main hard drive which runs the computer or which has the windows of the computer and running Adobe Premiere Pro would be liberated and only concentrate on running the software, so that the other hard drive also concentrate on providing the video footage for your editing. I don't know about you guys, but the first time I learned about this information, it was actually mind-blowing. And the first time I discovered this information was about 10 years ago. And after discovering it, I started to implement it in my works, and it greatly increased the lifespan of my computers. And again, it also helped improve the performance of my video editing. That is all for this video, guys. Let me know which of these tips was most surprising to you. If you learned something new, guys, kindly click on the like button so that a lot of people can get to see this video on YouTube. It's with me, OBL Jr., right here on the Africa Amaze channel. Guys, if you're new to the channel also, kindly consider clicking on the subscribe button because it goes a long way in helping us create such awesome content on this channel. Until next time, guys, as always, keep practicing filmmaking. Peace out.